300 miles from land, the Triton Venture rode the Atlantic's rhythm, a floating city of steel awaiting its purpose. Her crew moved with the sea's motion, a team of 12 specialists bound by a singular, complex goal.
Their target was born frame of 1950 Setson injector.
The real challenge wouldn't be finding the car. It would be bringing it back without it crumbling in their hands. The hatch sealed them in. The hum of life support replaced the ocean's roar, marking the point of no return. The ocean rushed up to meet them. Then came the profound silence of submersion, the first step into the abyss. They descended through a gradient of vanishing light, the sun's influence fading meter by relentless meter. This was the realm of permanent midnight, where pressure could crush a human body to paste in an instant.
"4,000 meters down, the sonar began painting a picture, the seafloor and the ghost resting upon it.
They entered the benthic zone, a desert of silt, punctuated by the bones of fallen giants.
And then she appeared, the Empress Victoria, a ghost ship sailing the underworld, preserved in deep-sea ice. Their entry point was a wound in the ship's side, torn open 70 years ago by impact or catastrophic failure. Chen brought them to a halt. 30 meters from the opening, the real work was about to begin. They crept forward, entering the tomb. The hold was a cavern of lost belongings, a museum of a tragedy.
Webb felt the familiar catch in his breath. Months of work, millions in cost, all focused on this single, impossible object.
The work demanded absolute concentration. One mistake could doom the entire mission in the blink of an eye. The first strap parted. The car had not felt movement in 7 decades. Now, it was free. 20 minutes of delicate, millimeter-precise work. 4 straps severed, the car now held only by gravity and the tilted deck. The extraction slings were their lifeline. They had to be positioned perfectly to cradle the car's fragile skeleton.
Visibility dropped to 0. Chen piloted by instinct and instrument, a testament to her deep water mastery.
Minutes of blind rigging. The slings were set. The most critical phase was upon them. Now came the cables from the surface world, their lifeline to the sun. Each connection had to be flawless.
One by one, the connections were made. The Rolls-Royce was now tethered to the world above.
Webb sent the signal, a simple pulse carrying the weight of their entire endeavor.
Begin the lift.
The cables took the strain. For the first time since 1957, the car rose from its metal tomb. It rose with a grace that belied the tons of force involved, a sculpture of lost elegance returning from the void. Chen kept pace, a guardian escorting a king through the depths. Behind them, the wreck returned to its eternal silence.
They climbed through the bathypelagic zone, observed by creatures for whom their lights were a celestial anomaly.
At 3,000 meters, an inquisitive octopus investigated the relic.
Webb watched the numbers, his heart rate steadying. The structure was holding. The ocean was releasing its prize. Life returned in familiar forms. Fish from the sunlit world, drawn by the commotion in their deep borderlands. 500 meters. The first suggestion of sunlight, a memory filtering down from a world they had left hours before.
Then, true light. Shafts of sun cutting through the blue.
Above them, the mothership's shadow loomed. The surface world, waiting to reclaim what had been lost. It broke the surface. After 70 years, it tasted air again. And for a moment, its true color whispered through the filth.
The cranes were free. The ocean released its final claim. The Atlantic had...
Webb wanted to begin immediately. To see what they had truly won from the depths. To verify the legend.
Words would have been inadequate. They stood in a silence that spoke of challenge met, of honor in the work.
Webb felt the weight leave his shoulders. They had done it. Against all variables, they had succeeded.
Webb was the last. He carried the weight of the mission's success, and now its peaceful conclusion. Dawn brought the practical world. The artifact was shrouded and secured for its journey to a new world, the world above.
With her precious cargo secured, the Triton venture turned her bow toward home. The salvage site receded into the ocean's memory.
So I told the captain, that's not a buoy, that's my thermos. Oh no, that's a good one.
For the director, the work of documentation began. But for a moment, he simply watched his team.
This section here, it looks like engraved bronze.
Yes, and the casing seems intact right to the edge.
The voyage home was a time of decompression, of integrating the profound experience of the deep back into the rhythm of surface life.
Webb needed to see it again, to feel the physical proof under her fingers, the reality of the resurrection.
Call for you, Chief. It's the Foundation.
The condition is as predicted, structurally sound. The conservation will be delicate.
Yes.
It's red.
The world above was already reaching out.
On the fifth day, land appeared, a faint line separating ocean from sky, signaling the true end of the mission. The floating city returned to the world of docks and diesel, of gravity-bound rules and waiting audiences. A reception committee waited. For them, the story was just beginning. For the crew, it was ending.
Webb prepared for the handover. From explorer to curator, from the depths to the spotlight.
Good morning, Officer Webb. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Welcome aboard, madam. Everything is in order. Please come forward.
Thank you.
ขาดแมนเทียนยุชิงจนแสนปานห้ำซามพบข้าวไฟเกิดวิ่งถึงคอมสันสปาร์เดียลโรยวิดพือพึงเขียนในเตรียนเฮือกในไทย
The final transfer, from the ship that found it to the vehicle that would carry it to its future.
First expert appraisal, a nod that said, yes, it is what you said it was, and yes, it is worth saving.
The full sensor logs, sonar maps, and all recovery footage.
The story from 4,000 meters down.
The car departed, beginning its new life as a museum piece, a curiosity, a testament.
I've worked with good teams before. This was the best. Thank you.
The formal acknowledgement was brief, direct, and carried the full weight of the depths they had faced together.
The celebration was terrestrial, messy, and human. A release of tension held for months, compressed like the deep water. For the director, the cycle was already turning. Satisfaction was a temporary harbor. The ocean always called for more.
They returned to their floating home, the only place that fully understood the journey they had just completed. The cycle continued. The ship was cleaned, resupplied. The tools of the trade moved on to their next service. People came to see the ghost, to marvel at the pressure it withstood, the time it slept, the journey it made. And in the silent museum, the Crimson Ghost kept its watch. The restoration was a science of microns, not to make it new, but to halt time, to preserve the moment of its return. It found its home, not on a road, but in a quiet hall, with a plaque telling a fraction of its long, dark story. People came to see the ghost, to marvel at the pressure it withstood, the time it slept, the journey it made.
There it was. The recovery was part of the display. The moment of discovery, forever looped for public consumption.
Far from the museum's quiet, the Triton venture was again at work. The ocean's treasures are numberless, its secrets endless.
For Marcus Webb, the past mission was a closed logbook. His eyes were always on the next set of coordinates, the next challenge in the deep.
A momentary connection to the Triumph swiftly filed away. The present demanded his full attention.
Sometimes, at day's end, he would think of it. Not the car in the museum.
And in the silent museum, the crimson ghost kept its watch.
The ocean had many moods. The calm of the recovery was a memory now, replaced by the Atlantic's raw, towering power.
For Webb, downtime was planning time. The storm was an obstacle, and her mind worked around obstacles by nature. The violence passed as quickly as it came. The ocean returned to its ponderous rhythm, the slate wiped temporarily clean. Not every return was heralded. Most missions ended like this, quietly, with data instead of drama. His office was a museum of the deep. Each pin a story, each map a conquered frontier. The red car held the center.
The world of black tie events was alien to him. He felt more at home in a dive suit 4 kilometers down than in this room.
Words. The words spoken about it were hollow. They celebrated the how, not the why.
Back to the venture in 2 weeks?
New site. South Atlantic. Deep.
Their conversation was of the future, of the next dive.
The years passed. Webb never left the deep. It was in his blood, as permanent as the salt in his beard.
Is it true?
The stories became legend, passed down to new crews. The Crimson Ghost was a benchmark, a story told to inspire.
Retirement, for such a man, was not an end to being on the water. It was a change in the relationship.
And the Atlantic endured, indifferent to the stories played out on its surface or within its crushing. But for those who knew where to look, the ghosts remained. Memories suspended in the deep. Webb's home was a curated archive of a life spent elsewhere. The artifacts were few, but each carried the weight of the deep.
Some memories couldn't be shaped by hand. They had to be released, returned to the element that gave them meaning.
The work continued without him. New tools, new eyes probing the darkness. The ocean's secrets were endless.
The old mission was now historical footage, a primer for a new generation of explorers of the silent world.
That's the one that started the modern salvage protocol, right?
Webb's folly. Until it worked.
No.
It had a name now in the industry.
The car became an institution, a fixed point in the museum, around which newer, flashier exhibits would come and go.
But for some, the power wasn't in the simulation. It was in the silent, physical truth of the object itself. The sea held all his reflections, all the versions of himself he had left in its depths over the decades. It was the same water, the same molecules that had pressed against the viewport, that had cradled the ghost, that now bathed his hands.
A thing lost becomes a thing found. A mission becomes a legend becomes a lesson sparks a new beginning.
His final descent was not into darkness, but into peace. The great silence he had spent his life exploring finally welcomed him home.
History, once lived, becomes artifact. The tools of memory are passed to new hands, to new interpreters.
He stood on the shoulders of giants, using tools they could only dream of,
to look at the same patch of ocean floor.
The age of extraction was fading. A new ethic of preservation in place, of witness.
The wreck continued its return to the elements. The car's absence was now part of its story, a silhouette of what had been.
The new protocol: observe, document, leave. The Ocean's Museum was to be studied, not looted.
The record was updated. The story was made more complete, not with a physical object, but with pure, precise data. The past was becoming a place you could visit, a space you could inhabit, without ever disturbing a grain of silt.
No physical marker remained for Webb. His monument was the practice he inspired, the ethic he helped forge.
Between preservation and loss, between memory and oblivion, lies the story. And the story is what endures.